Welcome back to Brashenomics, everybody. This is Heather, and joining me here now is Michael Busacca, who is a broker with Skyline Properties Real Estate, and he's also ranked in the top 10 in sales at Skyline Seattle office every year since 2003, and ranked in the top 5 in sales for 5 of the last 6 years, which is great. How are you, Michael?
I'm well. How about you, Heather?
I'm good. It's nice to see you all healed and healthy, back on the show without any Band-Aids.
Yeah, it's good to be going from completely laughable to, semi-laughable.
Well, I thought you looked great. So don't worry about that. Well, I was asking Ryan a lot of questions early about mortgages because, as I mentioned in the last segment, I've never bought a home before. So it's perfect that you're on talking about first-time home buyers. And, just before we kind of get into some of the information we have prepared for everybody, I would like to know, do a lot of people come to you first without talking to a mortgage broker, knowing how much they pre-qualify for?
Yeah, it's quite consistent because a lot of people are intimidated by the process, and they would just like to go through open houses, check online. So what they end up doing is getting the process backwards because they'll tour stuff, fall in love with things, and have no idea, can I buy this? Yeah. So I recommend and completely agree with Ryan, talk to a mortgage person you trust and you're comfortable with first. There's no letdown then because you think, okay, I can afford a $350, so I won't go out and tour homes at $550 and have that disappointing experience when all of a sudden you realize, okay, I'm 8 years from being able to buy at that level. Yeah,
which can't be fun for anybody, for you having to give them the sad letdown and for them realizing that, their dream home is kind of out of their grasp.
Definitely. I mean, I have to confess, the first couple of years I was a broker, I had it backwards. I thought, okay, I'll help people get comfortable with this. And I saw firsthand when they were told by a mortgage broker they could not afford the home they'd fallen in love with. So before you go fall in love with a home, get all the numbers straight.
And that's what you recommend to people. They come to you. That's probably one of the first questions you ask is, have you been pre-approved? Do you know how much of a home you can afford?
Exactly. It just has to happen that way. And once you've done that, I mean, I have to say, Heather, keep in mind, this whole process is like eating a 12-course meal. There's a lot of bites involved, but if you sit down and go bite by bite, you can methodically get through it. Just don't let yourself be overwhelmed by the size of the task.
It's like what they say about trying to eat an elephant. And there's a couple other first steps that you had, come up with and presented to me that can make a world of a difference. And I was curious and hoping that you would share those with our audience.
Yeah, my strong recommendation is to sit down with the people you trust most, your friends, your relatives, and say, okay, who have you had the best experience with in mortgage, and who have you had the best experience with in buying a home or selling a home? And then when you have that short list, set up interviews. Just like you would research for a doctor or a technician to work on your car, sit down and make these people prove to you why they're qualified.
And I don't think that people do that, actually. I mean, spend a lot of time interviewing people because they just kind of want to get to the point, cut to the chase, when I think really finding the right person to work with you through a process that can be lengthy and very emotional is a really important step. Someone you trust and that you're going to want to answer the phone when they call for the most part.
I hugely agree. I see folks trying to shortcut some of those steps quite often. But if you take the mindset that, hey, these people are here to do the best job possible for me, and keep in mind also that if you feel overwhelmed at any point, you can put the process on pause. You are not stuck with any mortgage broker or any realtor, and you're not stuck buying a home until you're well into a purchase contract.
Right. And you said that many first-time home buyers are really kind of too intimidated to commit to touring with any certain broker. And you had recommended taking a sample tour, so I wanted you to talk a little bit about that too.
Absolutely. Once you find, let's say, 3 or 4 brokers that you feel comfortable with after you've talked to them, absolutely, get in the car with them and make them take you through 5 homes, 10 homes, however many you want, and maybe even make them show you the same homes over and over again, just so you know, side by side, who is giving me the best information, who seems most on top of the condition of the properties, what's selling in the neighborhood, and how best to negotiate the seller down. How do I get the best deal?
Yeah, and then, pick the person from there. And then I guess, once you have someone to work with, I guess the next step is kind of understanding how the process works. And I imagine that with first-time home buyers, the education probably takes a lot longer than it would be someone going into the market for the second time.
You're absolutely right. But, as brokers, we just have to acknowledge that it takes a lot of stamina to do this. So keep in mind as a broker, you're going to just take these first-time buyers through property after property until they get that level of comfort. And that's what it takes for everyone. Everyone has to comparison shop to a lengthy degree before they invest six figures in anything.
Mm-hmm. And you had mentioned you respect the DIY approach, but you probably won't get the best results that way.
Yeah, I'll give you an example for myself. I love to work on my car, but I'm never going to be as efficient as the factory techs. I'm always going to be slower and cost myself more money. Mm-hmm. So when you're thinking about should I try it, through Redfin or another online service, try the step-by-step approach, keep in mind, would you try and diagnose your own medical issues? Would you try and fix your own plumbing? There's a point where it's just not productive for any of us to try the route that we're not a professional at.
Mm-hmm. What kind of things do you think people might be missing out on if they choose to just, do it themselves and not hire an agent?
The number one thing they miss out on is they have not been touring these homes relentlessly for year after year. Mm-hmm. So they don't have that second nature feel when they walk into a home and they think, okay, this home's on a great street, but the ceiling height's too low. The basement is completely dysfunctional. Mm-hmm. The layout should be fixed. This kitchen is only a $4,000 slap-together remodel versus the home down the street that sold for $10,000 less had a $20,000 remodel. There's so many variables. So only the experience of touring year after year gives you that full picture.
Yeah, and the edge to be able to share that information with your clients. And again, we're here with Michael Busacca, broker with Skyline Properties, and we have a couple minutes left, and I wanted to just ask you what are some of the most common questions that you're getting from first-time homebuyers right now in this market?
Some of the most common questions are, I buy a home, something goes wrong. How is it addressed? Who's at fault for that? Well, first and foremost, you have to consult with your broker in relation to the seller's disclosure form. Mm-hmm. And all the sellers in this state have a duty to disclose any material fact they know of. Mm-hmm. And if there's anything they would have known of as a homeowner, but then check the box no, saying we know no flaws in relation to roof, basement, things of that nature, at that point, that's a buyer's primary recourse after closing. So you really want to pay close attention to that. And another thing the buyers want to know is, hey, are prices going up? Are prices going down? And to be honest, it's very complex. You have to look at it neighborhood per neighborhood. If you try and use a headline and look at a general number for prices rising or falling, it won't give you the fine-tuned picture you need. Mm-hmm. That reviewing sold comps in any given price range and neighborhood will.
Yeah. And what I've learned, from, being a part of this show every day too, is that a lot of people pay attention to what's going on in not only the financial world, but also the real estate world by paying attention to national news. And everything is so specific to neighborhoods, cities, even zip codes, even streets, that I think you're kind of missing out on the bigger picture. And if you're not taking advantage of working with a professional who really does know all those nuances and can explain those to you, because you'll get, an inaccurate depiction of what's going on in the market if you're just reading kind of the front page every day. Exactly.
Yeah, the microclimate is so much more helpful in helping any buyer, first-time buyer, repeat buyer, get exactly the right price on a property. The macro picture, helps give you a feel nationally, but when you go out and really see, okay, I've toured 40 properties, 3 of them sold really quick with multiple offers. 80% of them have sat for 50 days and come down an average of 8% in price. And then there's the remainder that just won't sell for any reason. The properties with an Achilles heel. Yeah. They're either by the freeway or they are just too trashed for anyone to buy.
Absolutely. Well, and as we always say on the show, we're pretty anti-do-it-yourselfers. We always recommend talking to a professional that is willing to help you, and preferably ones that are on our show. And again, that was Michael Busacca from Skyline Properties. Thank you for joining us. We're going to go to break, and we'll be back for just a little bit more. But thanks again for everybody being here with us. This is Heather Moore, and you're listening to Brashenomics.